The Galactic Council's emergency session had been called for the third time in as many weeks. Ambassador Zixthor of the Vrelian Collective stood before the assembly, his translator implant struggling to convey the appropriate level of terror in his chittering voice. "The Cravath Cubs have escaped containment on Station Helix 9, he announced, mandibles clicking nervously. "We are recommending immediate evacuation of all personnel within a 50-kilometer radius." A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. The Cravathi were the galaxy's apex predators, 12 feet of crystalline scales, razor-sharp claws, and a bite force that could shear through titanium alloy. Their cubs, though smaller, were considered equally dangerous. Instinct-driven, unpredictable, and utterly lethal. "How many escaped?" asked Council Speaker Miraval, her 3 eyes widening in alarm. 7 cubs, ages ranging from 2 to 6 standard months. The chamber erupted in panic. James Rodriguez wiped the grease from his hands as he finished calibrating the atmospheric processors in Section D7 of Helix 9. The human maintenance engineer had been stationed on the research outpost for 8 months, and he'd grown to appreciate the quiet solitude of the engineering decks. His companion, Orla Mackenzie, looked up from her datapad. The xenobiologist had been reviewing feeding schedules for the station's various specimens when the alert came through. Her green eyes narrowed as she read the emergency broadcast. "James, we need to move now. What's going on?" "Cravath cubs, 7 of them, loose on the station." James raised an eyebrow. "Those the big lizard things from the secure wing?" "Big lizard things?" Orla's voice pitched higher. "James, they're classified as Class 5 predators. One adult Cravathi can take down a Thurian battle mech. The cubs are—" A scratching sound echoed through the ventilation shaft above them. Both humans froze. The vent cover exploded outward with a metallic screech. A creature about the size of a large dog tumbled onto the deck plating, all scales, claws, and frightened chirping sounds. Its crystalline hide refracted the corridor lights into rainbow patterns. The Cravath cub's eyes, huge and golden, fixed on the 2 humans. Its body tensed, preparing to strike. "Don't move," Orla whispered, her hand slowly reaching for the emergency beacon on her belt. James, however, did the unthinkable. He crouched down, making himself smaller, and extended his hand. "Hey there, little one," he said softly. "You're scared, aren't you?" "James, what are you?" The cub's nostrils flared. It tilted its head, processing this strange creature that showed no fear, no aggression. Just calm. The human's voice was low, soothing, vibrating at a frequency that reminded the cub of its mother's purring. James noticed the cubs trembling. "You got separated from your siblings, didn't you, buddy?" Slowly, impossibly, the cub took a tentative step forward. Then another. Its chirping softened. James remained perfectly still as the predator, the thing that had sent the entire Galactic Council into hysteria, pressed its snout into his palm. The scales were warm, surprisingly smooth. "That's my good baby," James murmured, gently scratching behind what he assumed were its auditory ridges. The cub's entire body relaxed, and a deep, rumbling purr emanated from its chest. Orla stared, speechless. "Orla, can you check the station schematic? Find out where they're keeping the mother." She blinked. You want to take it back?" "Them. We're going to find all 7. James smiled as the cub nuzzled against his chest. Nobody should be separated from their family. Over the next 3 hours, James Rodriguez became a legend. While evacuation shuttles fled the station and security teams armed themselves with plasma weapons, the human maintenance engineer walked calmly through the corridors, collecting terrified cubs. He found the 2nd one trapped in a supply closet, the 3rd and 4th huddled together in a cargo bay, the 5th attempting to eat a power coupling, and the 6th and 7th play-fighting in an observation deck. Each time, the result was the same. The cubs would tense, ready to attack, and then James would speak to them in that impossibly calm voice. He'd crouch down, show no fear, and within minutes, the deadly predators would be following him like ducklings. Orla documented everything, her scientific mind reeling. The cubs responded to James's body language, his tone, his complete lack of predatory signals. Humans, she realized, were persistence hunters. Their threat came not from claws or fangs, but from their relentless endurance. To these cubs, James wasn't a threat. He was just there, solid, safe. "This is insane," she muttered, watching James carry 2 cubs while 4 others trotted behind him. "This violates every known protocol." "Maybe that's the problem," James replied. "Everyone's so busy being afraid, they forget these are just babies." When James arrived at the secure xenobiology wing, he found it surrounded by armed security forces. Ambassador Zixthor stood at the center, flanked by 12 guards in tactical armor. "Human! Step away from those creatures immediately," James looked down at the 7 cubs clustered around his legs, chirping contentedly. "Can't do that, Ambassador. They're scared, and I promised to take them home." "Those are apex predators." "These," James said firmly, kneeling and gathering the smallest cub into his arms, "are my good babies, and they want their mother." The standoff lasted 17 seconds before the mother Cravathi, who had been sedated in a nearby containment cell, woke at the sound of her cubs chirping. Her roar shook the entire deck. Security forces scattered. But James didn't flinch. He walked calmly to the containment door and waited as Orla overrode the security protocols. The door opened. The mother Cravathi emerged, 30 feet of scales, claws, and protective maternal fury. Her eyes found James, the human, holding her smallest child. For a moment, the galaxy held its breath. Then James set the cub down gently. "Go on, little one. Your mama's here." The cubs rushed forward, chirping and squeaking. The mother Cravathi lowered her massive head, nuzzling each one, counting, confirming they were safe. Her golden eyes met James's, and she purred. The incident report filed by the Galactic Council would later note that human James Rodriguez had demonstrated unprecedented and reckless disregard for standard safety protocols. It would also note that 0 casualties occurred and that human Cravathi relations had improved significantly. Ambassador Zixthor would spend weeks trying to understand how a species that had only joined the galactic community 20 years ago could so easily handle creatures that terrified civilizations thousands of years older. Orla understood, though. She'd watched James with those cubs, seen the patience, the empathy, the stubborn refusal to see them as monsters. "You know the whole galaxy thinks you're crazy now," she told him later, as they watched the Cravathi family through the observation window. James shrugged, watching the mother groom her cubs. "Maybe, but they're safe. That's what matters." The smallest cub, the first one James had found, pressed its face against the transparent aluminum, chirping at him. James smiled and placed his hand against the barrier. "My good baby," he whispered. And in that moment, the galaxy learned an important lesson. Humans didn't become apex predators through strength or speed or claws. They became apex predators through something far more terrifying, the ability to look at any creature, no matter how dangerous, and see not a monster, but a living being worthy of compassion. That, the galaxy would learn, was the most dangerous trait of all. ND.